Steve Hay here. Welcome back to a wonderful world of woodwork, and where we're going back to basics. This one we're covering rip sawing. The previous video, if you want to check it out, was there. It was how to cut accurately cross cuts, whether it's a 90 degree or a 60 degree or a 45 degree. It doesn't matter. If you follow the method that is in that video there, you'll be cutting like a champion in no time flat. The other one that I'm going to cover this time is rip sawing. So cross cut is when you're cutting across the grain. Rip sawing is when you're cutting down the grain. In the previous video I talked about the difference between a cross cut saw and a rip saw. This one's a cross cut saw and it has got a fleam cut on the teeth. That is, they're cut at 60 degrees and form a point on the end of the teeth. So when you're cutting through timber, the points actually sever the fibres and then clear the swarf away. Rip cut, on the other side of the coin, are sharpened at 90 degrees and a chisel point. In fact, here's a good example of a chisel point. You can plainly see there the teeth are at 90 degrees and they have a square cutting edge on the edge, which actually forces the long grain fibres out as it cuts. That's the smaller version of one. That is about 12 TPI. So, bit of difference between the two. This one I have used a fair amount, but I won't be using it today because it's very aggressive. And this one's about a 12 TPI. What I like to do when I'm ripping is use about an 8 TPI, which is not as aggressive as that 4, but definitely got more bite than a 12. So the way we set it out, get a marking gauge, work out how thick you want the piece of timber you're keeping, mark it with a marking gauge, mark it all the way around, and that will become apparent later on if we run into trouble. If you want, and you're like me and you've got crook eyes, throw a pencil down there just so you can see it a bit better. There we go. Pop it in the vise. The challenging bit with any rip cut is actually starting the cut. With practice you can do it quite easily with the saw you're using. Work out which piece you're going to keep, this piece or that piece. Because if you're going to go offline, it's better to go offline in the piece that you're not keeping. Now I'm just drawing back on that, which is the way a Japanese saw cuts, but these Western saws cut on the push. But I'm getting a groove in there, just to start me off. Light pressure, don't try hard, and then sawing action like that. Gradually bring your saw down flat, and just see how you're going on this line. So I'm cutting down, this is going to be my waist side here, and I want to keep this. I'm going to keep it a little bit fatter than I need, and then I can clean it off with a plane. When you're cutting for a rip too, never cut it to the exact size you want it. Always cut it a little bit bigger than what you need, because that allows for a clean up afterwards. And if you do deviate off course and you go into the area that you want to keep, well, you just ruined a piece of timber, or you've got to reevaluate your design, one or the other. Nice even strokes, same thing. You'll notice my fingers pointing down the blade, the direction I want to go. And I'm now sawing flat. I'm not sawing down like that, and I'm not sawing like that. I'm sawing flat. Bring it up in the vise. I don't like having it high in the vise like this to start with, because if you do, you can get a bit of chatter and vibration up, whereas if you take it bit by bit, the vise is supporting your piece. Now clamp your hand over the top and just keep going. And don't be frightened to use the whole saw. A lot of people, they only want to use a piece of the saw, you know, little cuts like that. No, use the whole. Look how far we can go down with that. nice, long, even cuts. That's how it's looking at the moment. Again, see if we can start it off. There we go. Cut down that line. And there we go. It's ripped. Now, the inside I might have had a bit of twist on the handle too much, and we're a little bit high, but we're on the waist side. We're on the waist side of what we want to keep. There we just about followed the line down the way we wanted to. So now we can just plane that straight. If we check that for square. There we go. And that's pretty square. So there's a bit of timber. We've ripped the size using the saw and squared up with a plane. In future videos, I'll talk more about planes, but the main thing I wanted to share with you today was how easy it is and how simple it is to rip cut using a handsaw. Well, that's it for another segment, but I look forward to the following video where we will be doing some plane work on block planes and bench planes. So until then, continue to enjoy the beautiful, wonderful world of woodwork, and I hope to see you soon. Till then, bye.